Amara Okeke knelt on cold stone, scrubbing wine stains in silence. Her white handkerchief peeked from her apron pocket. Victoria Okonkwo descended the grand staircase. She lifted her champagne flute and tilted it. Golden liquid splashed onto Amara's head, soaking her hair, her neck, her collar. "Clean that too, rat!" Laughter echoed. Security grabbed Amara's arms and dragged her toward the door. Her knees scraped marble. Her hands clutched nothing but air. Daniel Okonkwo, the eldest son, didn't look up from his phone. "She's not even worth the champagne." Have you ever been judged by your uniform, your silence, the work you do to survive? This is one of those African stories, a real-life story about cruelty, secrets, and a reckoning no one saw coming. Among all the touching stories you'll hear, this life story will haunt you, because what that family didn't know would destroy them all. The dynasty. The Okonkwo name owned Lagos, 12 billion naira in real estate, 40% of the city's luxury towers. Victoria Okonkwo smiled from charity magazine covers, elegant, untouchable, beloved. Her late husband, Chief Emeka Okonkwo, had died 6 months earlier. The state funeral drew 3,000 mourners. Politicians wept on camera. Victoria wore black Chanel. She dabbed her eyes with lace. Inside the mansion, the children fought over properties. Daniel, the eldest, ran investment portfolios from his penthouse office. Grace, the middle child, filmed luxury hauls for 2 million Instagram followers. Peter, the youngest, crashed a Porsche every other month and bought another. They never noticed the maid who refilled their glasses. Amara had worked there 18 months. She'd arrived after her father's cancer bills crushed her nursing school dreams. The Okonkwos paid her 70,000 naira monthly, enough to send money home, barely enough to breathe. Chief Emeka had been kind in his final weeks. He'd asked her to read to him when pain kept him awake. Sometimes he'd stare at her face and whisper a name that wasn't hers. Ada. "I'm sorry, Ada." Amara never asked who Ada was. It wasn't her place. The reading, the family lawyer, Mr. Adeyemi, arrived on a Tuesday. Leather briefcase, wire-rimmed glasses. Victoria sat center in the drawing room, children flanking her. She'd chosen a cream suit. The gold signet ring on her right hand gleamed as she folded her fingers. "Let's be quick," Daniel said, checking his Rolex. "I have lunch in Ikoyi." Mr. Adeyemi broke the wax seal and unfolded 2 pages of legal text. The last will and testament of Chief Emeka Okonkwo. The room stilled. He read through formalities. Executor appointments, charitable bequests, offshore transfers. Victoria nodded at each one, satisfied. Then Mr. Adeyemi cleared his throat. "To my children, Daniel, Grace, and Peter, I leave 800 million naira each, distributed from the trust established in 2019. Grace smiled. Peter exhaled. Daniel's jaw tightened. He'd expected more. Mr. Adeyemi continued. "To Miss Amara Okeke, housemaid in my employ, I bequeath 80% of my remaining estate. Total value, 9.6 billion naira." Victoria's smile froze. Grace's phone slipped from her hand and cracked against marble. "What did you just say?" Mr. Adeyemi adjusted his glasses. "Miss Amara Okeke inherits the primary estate, this residence, the Lekki properties, controlling shares in Okonkwo Holdings." Amara stood in the doorway. She held a tray of tea. The cups rattled. Victoria turned. Her face drained white, then flushed crimson, then something darker. "You." The word came out like poison. The accusation. Victoria crossed the room in 4 strides. She slapped the tray from Amara's hands. Porcelain exploded. Hot tea splashed across marble, across Amara's ankles, burning. "You seduced him," Victoria's voice shook. "You poisoned a dying man's mind, spread your legs and stole my legacy." Amara stepped back. Her shoulder hit the doorframe. "I never, Mrs. Okonkwo, I swear." Victoria grabbed Amara's wrist. Her nails dug crescents into skin. "Don't you dare speak his name. You're a witch, a parasite." Mr. Adeyemi stood. "Mrs. Okonkwo, this is legally inappropriate." "Get out of my house!" Victoria shoved Amara toward the hall. Grace raised her phone, filming. "Everyone needs to see this. The world needs to know what you are." Daniel turned to the lawyer, voice flat and cold. "That will is fraudulent. My father had dementia." "He wasn't competent to sign anything." Mr. Adeyemi shook his head. "Chief Emeka was evaluated by 3 independent physicians 1 month before his death. Cognitive function, normal. The will is binding under Nigerian law, Section 3 of the Wills Act." Peter laughed, high, bitter, unhinged. "So Daddy's whore gets billions and we're left begging? Perfect, just perfect." Victoria's hand went to the gold signet ring. She twisted it, knuckles bone white. "Security, throw her into the street." 2 guards took Amara's arms, gently, confused. They walked her toward the service exit. She'd left her purse upstairs. All she had was the white handkerchief in her pocket, and a sealed letter Chief Emeka had pressed into her hand 3 weeks before he died. She hadn't opened it yet. The campaign. By evening, Grace's video had 4 million views. "Maid steals billions from grieving widow," read the caption. The comments seethed with rage. Victoria called a press conference the next morning. Black dress, pearls. Her voice trembled at rehearsed intervals. "My husband was a great man, but in his final days, vulnerable and weak, he was manipulated by someone he trusted. I will not let this injustice stand." The tabloids ran her photo beside a blurred shot of Amara leaving through the service gate. "The fortune thief," screamed across the front page. Daniel hired forensic accountants, filed an emergency injunction. By noon, every naira of the estate was frozen. Amara couldn't touch a single kobo. She took a Danfo bus back to Ajegunle. Back to her mother's 1-room apartment where the ceiling leaked and the walls bloomed with black mold. Her mother lay on a thin mattress, face gray from kidney disease. "Amara, what happened?" Amara sat on the floor. She pulled out the white handkerchief, her mother's handkerchief, embroidered by her grandmother 40 years ago. She pressed it to her face. "I don't know, Mama." But in her other pocket, the sealed letter waited. And somewhere across Lagos, Victoria Okonkwo twisted a stolen gold ring and planned her next move. The wilderness, Amara applied to 14 jobs in 3 days. Cleaning services, restaurants, a hospital cafeteria. Each one asked for references. Each one called the Okonkwo estate. Each one went silent. Victoria's reach was long. By week's end, Amara's mother needed dialysis, 500,000 naira monthly. The hospital demanded a deposit. Amara had 17,000 in her account. Her younger brother, Chidi, dropped out of school. He sold phone cards on the street to buy rice. Amara found night work at General Hospital, Lagos, cleaning surgical wards. 42,000 monthly, less than before. But no one there read tabloids. She scrubbed blood from operating tables, mopped hallways, emptied bedpans. The nurses who'd once been her classmates looked away when she passed. One night, kneeling in a bathroom stall, she pressed the white handkerchief to her mouth. She didn't cry. Tears changed nothing. But the sealed letter in her bag felt heavier each day. The lawsuit, Daniel's team filed 30 pages. undue influence, testamentary incapacity, fraud. Court date 8 weeks out. Amara couldn't afford a consultation. She sat in a free legal clinic in Yaba. The waiting room smelled like old paper and prayers. Pastor Chukwu, a man in his 60s with kind eyes, listened to her story. "You have the will?" he asked. "A copy. Mr. Adeyemi gave it to me before they threw me out." Pastor Chukwu tapped his pen. "I know someone who can help." He wrote a number. "Tell him I sent you." Amara folded the paper. "Thank you, Pastor." He smiled. "The truth has a way of rising, child, even when powerful people try to drown it." The bribe. Peter Okonkwo found her outside the hospital on a Thursday night. Black Mercedes, designer tracksuit, gold chains. "Amara, we need to talk." She kept walking. He followed. "My mother's upset. Daniel's bleeding money on lawyers. Grace gets death threats hourly." He caught her arm gently. "This doesn't have to be ugly." Amara stopped, looked at his hand. He let go. Peter pulled an envelope from his pocket. 50 million naira, cash, walk away. Sign a document. We all move on. Your father wanted me to have that inheritance. My father was dying and confused. He knew exactly what he was doing. Her voice was quiet, steel underneath. He called me Ada. Do you know who that is? Peter blinked. What? Ask your mother. Amara walked toward the bus stop. Peter shouted after her. 50 million is more than you'll see in 10 lifetimes. She didn't look back. The letter. That night, Amara sat on the floor of her mother's apartment. A single bulb overhead. Her mother slept. Chidi was out. She pulled the sealed letter from her bag. Cream envelope. Chief Emeka's gold initials. She broke the seal. 2 pages. Shaky handwriting. A folded hospital document. She read. Amara, if you're reading this, I am gone. Forgive me. You are my daughter. Your mother, Adaeze, and I loved each other before my family forced me into marriage. She was poor. I was a coward. I've watched you from a distance for 28 years. Paid your school fees, your mother's treatment. When you came to work in my house, I saw it as a second chance. The gold ring Victoria wears belonged to Adaeze. My family took it when they paid her off. Victoria found it in my safe and claimed it. Take it back, Ada. The attached document is proof. Dr. Obi witnessed everything. This inheritance is my apology. Emeka Amara unfolded the hospital document. Official letterhead, signatures, numbers she didn't fully understand yet. She read it twice, then folded it carefully. She didn't cry. She sat in dim light and thought about a woman named Adeze who'd loved a man too weak to fight. And she thought about the gold ring on Victoria's hand. The alliance Mr. Adeyemi called 2 days later. Miss Okeke, we need to meet. They met at a cafe in Ikeja. He ordered tea. She ordered nothing. I've been Chief Emeka's lawyer for 20 years, he said quietly. I knew about you. He told me everything before updating the will. Why didn't you say anything at the reading? Because I needed to see how they'd react. He leaned forward. Victoria is dangerous, but arrogant. She'll make mistakes. He slid a folder across the table. Chief Emeka updated his will 4 times in 2 years. Every version prioritized you. No coercion, no incapacity. Amara opened the folder. Dates, signatures, witnesses. Dr. Obi is willing to testify, Mr. Adeyemi continued. He evaluated Chief Emeka 1 week before death. Sharp, coherent, fully competent. Will Dr. Obi be safe? He owns 3 hospitals and doesn't fear Victoria Okonkwo. Amara closed the folder. What do I do? Wait, let them escalate. Mr. Adeyemi finished his tea. And when they demand a public DNA test, because they will, accept it. The challenge Victoria appeared on live television, sitting across from a sympathetic host, dabbing tissue. I've asked Miss Okeke to submit to an independent DNA test. If she's telling the truth, she has nothing to hide. The host nodded. And if the test proves otherwise? Then justice is served, my husband's legacy restored. Applause. Grace posted the clip. Truth or consequences? Your move, thief. Amara watched on a cracked phone. Pastor Chukwu sat beside her. What will you do? He asked. Amara pulled out the white handkerchief. She folded it into a triangle and tied it around her head like a scarf. I'll take the test, on my terms. The terms. Mr. Adeyemi released a statement the next day. Miss Amara Okeke agrees to a public DNA test under these conditions. 1. Independent lab chosen by the Nigerian Medical Association. 2. Results revealed publicly at Mrs. Okonkwo's annual charity gala. 3. All gala proceeds donated to domestic workers' education. Miss Okeke has nothing to hide. She hopes Mrs. Okonkwo can say the same. The statement went viral. Number Team Amara, number Team Victoria. News channels debated hourly. Victoria, trapped by her own challenge, agreed. Gala theme, Defending Family Legacy. Tickets, 100,000 naira. 500 guests confirmed. Grace designed posters. Daniel hired media teams. Peter stayed drunk. Victoria stood alone in her bedroom, twisting the gold signet ring. She'd worn it 6 years. She'd forgotten it wasn't always hers. The preparation Amara gave her sample at the hospital where she worked. Dr. Obi drew the blood. 3 witnesses. The vial was sealed and couriered. She went back to scrubbing floors, sending money home, sleeping 4 hours. But now she wore the white handkerchief tied around her head. People noticed, nurses whispered, guards nodded. One night an older woman stopped her, a patient's mother. I know who you are. I saw the news. The woman smiled. My daughter is a housemaid in Lekki. They treat her like dirt. Win, my dear, win for all of us. Amara nodded. She couldn't speak. The gala was 2 weeks away, then 1, then 3 days. Amara stood in front of a mirror. She wore her only dress, white, simple, clean. She tied the handkerchief around her head. Her mother, stronger after dialysis, sat on the bed. Are you afraid? Yes, Mama. Good. Fear means you're awake. Her mother stood and touched Amara's shoulder. Whatever happens, you're not alone. The next morning, Amara rode a bus to the Grand Hotel Lagoon. Pastor Chukwu and Mr. Adeyemi waited in a side room. Ready? Mr. Adeyemi asked. Amara touched the handkerchief. Ready. Across the hotel, Victoria Okonkwo put on a gold gown. She slid the signet ring onto her finger, checked her reflection. Tonight, she would destroy the girl who dared challenge her. Or so she thought. The gala, the Grand Hotel Lagoon ballroom, glittered like a jewel box. Crystal chandeliers caught light from 1,000 angles. Champagne towers rose in spirals. White orchids draped every surface. 500 guests arrived in designer gowns and tailored suits. Politicians, oil executives. Society wives. Influencers positioning for the perfect angle. Every major Lagos name had paid 100,000 naira to witness Victoria Okonkwo defend her legacy, or destroy a maid who dared challenge it. Press cameras lined the back wall. 3 news networks streamed live. Grace's social media team positioned ring lights and microphones. Number defending legacy trended before the first speech. Victoria stood at the center of it all. Gold dress, gold heels, the gold signet ring catching light as she greeted guests. She looked regal, untouchable. Daniel worked the room with practiced charm. Peter stayed near the bar, already on his third drink. Grace filmed everything, narrating for her followers. "Tonight, truth wins," she whispered into her phone. Watch. At 7:15, Amara entered through the main doors. The room went silent. She wore a simple white dress, no jewelry, no makeup. The white handkerchief tied around her head like a crown. She walked alone, head high, hands steady. Pastor Chukwu and Mr. Adeyemi waited near the stage. Dr. Obi stood in the third row, arms crossed, watching. Amara took a seat in the front. The chair beside her stayed empty. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Phones tilted, cameras zoomed. Victoria's smile never wavered, but her hand went to the ring. Twisted it, once, twice. The theater Victoria took the microphone at 7:30. Spotlights found her. The crowd quieted. "Thank you all for coming." Her voice was warm, practiced. "Tonight is about truth. About protecting what my beloved husband built. About stopping those who prey on grief." Applause. She gestured to a screen behind her. "Let me show you something." The lights dimmed. A video played. Amara on screen, serving Chief Emeka tea, adjusting his pillow, reading to him in his final days. The footage was real, but the captions weren't. Seduction tactics scrolled across the bottom. Calculated manipulation. Targeting a dying man. Gasps from the audience. Some nodded, some frowned. The video cut to tabloid covers. The Fortune Thief. Photos of Amara, scrubbing floors, leaving through the service gate. Headlines screaming fraud. Victoria's voice narrated over it all. "This woman worked in my home for 18 months. In that time, she isolated my husband, whispered lies, turned him against his own children." The video ended. Lights rose. Victoria dabbed her eyes. "But tonight, science will prove what we already know. That girl is not my husband's daughter. She is a liar, and liars always get caught." The crowd erupted. Applause, shouts of support. Daniel stepped onto the stage. He carried a folder. "We've brought an expert to explain the DNA process. Dr. Femi, please join us." A man in a white coat walked to the microphone. Tall, confident, expensive haircut. Dr. Femi wasn't a doctor. He was an actor. Daniel had paid 50,000 naira to play one. But the audience didn't know that. "DNA testing is highly sensitive," he began. "Results can be contaminated. Samples can be tampered with. Without proper chain of custody, any result is suspect." He looked directly at Amara. "And when someone has billions to gain, we must ask, how far would they go?" More applause. Louder now. Amara sat still, her hands folded in her lap, the white handkerchief stark against her hair. The reversal. An older woman in the fifth row stood, silver hair, elegant navy dress. She raised her hand. "Victoria, may I speak?" Victoria's smile tightened. "Auntie Ngozi, of course." Auntie Ngozi walked to the center aisle. "I've known your family 30 years. I knew Emeka when he was young, before he married you." The room went silent. "He was in love with a girl named Adaze, a beautiful girl from Ajegunle. He wanted to marry her. His family refused because she had no money." "No connections." Auntie Ngozi looked at Victoria. "You remember this, yes?" Victoria's face went carefully blank. "Ancient history." "Is it?" Auntie Ngozi turned to the crowd. "Emeka told me 1 month before he died that he'd found his daughter, that he was going to make things right." She looked at Amara. "He called her Ada." Murmurs erupted, phones typing, cameras swiveling. Victoria grabbed the microphone. "Auntie, please sit down. You're confused." "I'm 73 years old and sharper than you'll ever be." Aunt Ngozi walked back to her seat. "Let the girl speak." The crowd waited. Victoria had no choice. She extended the microphone toward Amara, smiling like a predator offering poisoned meat. "Please, enlighten us." Amara speaks. Amara stood. She walked to the stage. No hesitation, no fear. She took the microphone. "I didn't ask for this." Her voice was quiet. The room leaned in to hear. "I didn't seduce anyone. I didn't manipulate a dying man." She looked at Victoria. "I showed kindness to someone in pain. I read to him when he couldn't sleep. I listened when he cried. That's all." She turned to the crowd. "Chief Emeka called me Ada in his final days. I didn't know why. I thought he was confused." Her voice steadied, grew stronger. But he wasn't confused. He was finally telling the truth. Grace shouted from her position near the cameras. "Then prove it! Show us the DNA results!" Amara nodded. "I will." Mr. Adeyemi stepped onto the stage. He carried a sealed envelope with the Nigerian Medical Association logo stamped in red wax. He broke the seal. Unfolded a single page. The room held its breath. Mr. Adeyemi read aloud. Sample A, Chief Emeka Okonkwo, deceased. Sample B, Miss Amara Okeke. Probability of paternity 99.7%. Silence. Then chaos. Gasps, shouts, camera flashes like lightning, phones raised. Grace's live stream exploded with comments. Victoria's face drained white. "That's impossible." "It's not." Dr. Obi stood. He walked to the stage. 70 years old, 3 hospitals, 0 fear. "I drew Chief Emeka sample myself 3 months before he died. I witnessed Miss Okeke's sample 2 weeks ago. The chain of custody was flawless. The lab is internationally accredited." He looked at Dr. Femi. "And that man is not a doctor. He's an actor named Femi Adeyinka who works in Nollywood." Dr. Femi went pale. He backed off the stage and disappeared into the crowd. The audience roared, some with shock, some with laughter, some with fury. Daniel grabbed his mother's arm. "Mom, we need to leave." Victoria yanked free. She grabbed the microphone back. "Lies! That lab was bribed. This whole thing is a setup." Dr. Obi pulled a second folder from his jacket. "Would you like to see the payment records? Chief Emeka paid for Adeyeze Okeke's cancer treatment from 2008 to 2010. 5 million naira total. He sent Amara's school fees anonymously for 12 years, another 8 million. He handed the folder to Mr. Adeyemi, who projected the documents on the screen. Bank statements, transfer receipts, dates and amounts highlighted in yellow. "He's been her father in secret for 28 years, Dr. Obi said. "This inheritance isn't manipulation, it's restitution." The crowd erupted again. Some guests stood, some cried, some pulled out phones to call their lawyers. Aunt Ngozi wiped her eyes. Emeka finally did the right thing. The ring Amara stepped forward. She pointed at Victoria's hand. "That gold ring you're wearing, it belonged to my mother." Victoria's hand went instinctively to the ring. "This is mine." Chief Emeka gave it to Adeze Okeke in 1996 when he proposed. Your family took it back when they paid her to disappear. You found it in his safe 6 years ago and claimed it as your inheritance. Amara pulled a photograph from her pocket. Old, faded. Creased from being folded and unfolded too many times. She held it up. The camera zoomed inches. Young Chief Emeka. young Adeze, his hand holding hers, the gold signet ring glinting on her finger. The timestamp in the corner read August 1996. The crowd gasped. Victoria stared at the photo, at the ring, at her own hand. "You've been wearing stolen love as a trophy," Amara said quietly. "You've been pretending it was always yours. Just like you pretended his fortune was always yours. Just like you pretended his children were the only ones who mattered." Victoria's hand shook. The ring caught light. For a moment, she looked small, exposed. Then she lunged. "You want this ring?" Victoria screamed. She yanked it off her finger. "Take it!" She hurled it across the stage. It bounced twice, rolled, stopped at Amara's feet. The ballroom went silent. Amara knelt. She picked up the ring, held it to the light. "Thank you," she said. "My mother would want me to have this." Victoria's face twisted. Rage, shame, something darker underneath. "You think you've won? You think you can just walk in here and take everything? I built this family. I spent 30 years cleaning up Emeka's messes, hosting his stupid politicians, raising his ungrateful children. I earned this legacy." Daniel stepped forward. "Mom, stop talking." "No!" Victoria grabbed the microphone again. Her voice cracked through the speakers. "Emeka was weak. He never stopped crying about that slum girl. I made him rich. I made him powerful. And this is how he repays me, giving billions to some maid he knocked up 30 years ago?" The crowd recoiled. Phones captured every word. Grace stood frozen, her own phone still streaming live. Peter vomited into a potted plant. Victoria didn't notice. She was unraveling. "I sacrificed everything, my youth, my dreams, and for what? So he could die and leave me with scraps?" Mr. Adeyemi stepped forward. "Mrs. Okonkwo, I strongly advise you to stop speaking." But Victoria couldn't stop. The words poured out like poison. "You want to know the truth? Fine. Emeka's charity work? I did that. His business empire? I ran it while he moped about his lost love. His perfect reputation? I built that." She pointed at Amara. "And now you think you can destroy me?" Amara stood very still. "I'm not trying to destroy you, Mrs. Okonkwo. You're doing that yourself." Victoria opened her mouth, closed it. Her hand reached for the ring that wasn't there anymore. Mr. Adeyemi cleared his throat. "Mrs. Okonkwo, there's one more matter." He pulled a third folder, thicker, heavier. "While reviewing the estate, we discovered discrepancies in your charity foundation, the one you're so proud of." Victoria went very still. 2.3 billion naira in donations, routed to offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, accounts registered under your maiden name. The ballroom exploded. The collapse, the ballroom erupted. Guests stood, shouted, phones captured every angle. Grace's live stream hit 6 million viewers. The comments scrolled too fast to read. Mr. Adeyemi projected the documents on the screen. Bank statements, wire transfers, shell companies, every donation that never reached the charities, every naira that disappeared into Victoria's offshore accounts, 2.3 billion. Victoria stood frozen. Her mouth opened, closed. No sound came out. Daniel grabbed her arm. "Mom, we need to leave, right now." She yanked away. "Those are operational costs, administrative fees, perfectly legal." "Operational costs of 2 billion naira?" Dr. Obi's voice cut through the chaos. "For a foundation with 3 employees?" A woman in the audience stood, designer suit, sharp eyes. I donated $50 million to your malaria program last year. Are you telling me that money never reached anyone? Another voice. I gave $20 million for the school in Owerri. I funded the hospital wing. The crowd turned. What had been support became fury. Victoria stepped back. Her heel caught on the stage edge. She stumbled. Daniel caught her. "This is a setup," she whispered. "They planned this. They want to destroy me." Mr. Adeyemi's voice was calm, clinical. "The Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit has been investigating for 6 months. Chief Emeka discovered the fraud 2 weeks before he died. That's why he changed the will." The words landed like bullets. Victoria's face went from white to gray. Emeka knew? He knew. Mr. Adeyemi closed the folder. He was going to report you himself, but he died before he could. Silence. Then Victoria laughed, high, broken, unhinged. Of course he knew. Of course. He always knew everything, watched everything, judged everything. She looked at Amara. "Is that why he gave you my money? Because I wasn't pure enough? Because I had the audacity to survive?" Amara said nothing. Victoria's voice rose. "You think you're better than me? You think your poverty makes you noble? I clawed my way into this family. I smiled at men I hated. I birthed children for a man who loved someone else. And this is my reward?" Grace lowered her phone. Tears streaked her makeup. "Mom, stop." "Don't tell me to stop." Victoria whirled on her daughter. "You, with your fake followers and your shopping hauls. You think you earned any of this? You think Daddy was proud of you?" Grace flinched like she'd been slapped. Victoria turned to Peter. "And you, crashing cars." "Overdosing in nightclubs. You're pathetic." Peter's face crumpled. He turned and walked toward the exit. Daniel stepped between his mother and the crowd. "Mom, please, you're making this worse." "Worse?" Victoria shoved him. "How could it possibly be worse? I've lost everything. The money, the respect, the name." She turned back to the microphone. Her hands shook as she gripped it. "You want to know the truth? All of you?" Her voice cracked through the speakers. "I hated him. I hated Emeka. I hated his weakness, his sentimentality, his obsession with that dead girl and her bastard daughter." Gasps rippled through the room. "I gave him 30 years, 30 years, and he left me nothing, nothing." Daniel grabbed her shoulders. "Mom, the police are coming." "We have to go." Victoria looked at him, really looked at him. Her face changed. The rage drained. What remained was hollow. "They're already here, aren't they?" Daniel nodded. 2 officers in uniform appeared at the ballroom entrance. Behind them, 3 plainclothes detectives. The crowd parted. Victoria straightened. She smoothed her gold dress, lifted her chin. "Well, at least I'll leave in style." She walked down from the stage, head high, hands steady now. The officers met her halfway. "Mrs. Victoria Okonkwo, you're under arrest for embezzlement and charity fraud." She extended her wrists. "I know." They cuffed her gently, professionally, led her toward the exit. The ballroom watched in silence. Camera flashes lit her path like a red carpet. At the door, Victoria stopped. She turned back. Her eyes found Amara. For a moment, neither woman moved. Then Victoria smiled. Small, bitter, broken. "You won," she said. "Enjoy it." The doors closed behind her. The aftermath. The ballroom remained silent for 3 heartbeats. Then chaos. Guests rushed for the exits. Journalists shouted questions. Grace collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Daniel stood frozen on the stage, staring at nothing. Peter was gone. already disappeared into the Lagos night. Mr. Adeyemi touched Amara's arm. "We should go." "Not yet." Amara walked across the ballroom to where Grace sat, shoulders shaking, hands covering her face. Amara knelt beside her. Grace looked up. Her eyes were red, mascara streaked. "I was horrible to you. I posted your picture. I called you a thief. I know." "I'm so sorry." Grace's voice broke. "I didn't know. I thought you were trying to destroy us." Amara was quiet for a moment. Then she pulled the white handkerchief from her head. She unfolded it, held it out. "Wipe your tears." Grace stared at the handkerchief. "I don't deserve—" "Take it." Grace took it, pressed it to her face. Her shoulders shook harder. Amara stood. "Your mother made her choices. You don't have to make the same ones." She walked to where Daniel still stood. He looked at her with hollow eyes. "My father left you 800 million naira," Amara said. "Each, you, Grace, and Peter." Daniel laughed bitterly. "That's more than most people dream of, but it's not what we expected." "Number. It's not," Amara's voice was steady, "but it's what you have. What you do with it is your choice. And the estate, the house, the businesses? Those belong to me now. Chief Emeka wanted it that way." Daniel nodded slowly. "Because we didn't earn them, we just inherited proximity. You inherited opportunity. What you do with it defines you." She turned to leave. Daniel's voice stopped her. "Amara." She looked back. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry. Not just for what we did to you, but for what we became." Amara nodded. "Then be different tomorrow." The Mercy Pastor, Chukwu, and Dr. Obi waited by the exit. The ballroom had mostly emptied. Hotel staff cleaned champagne glasses and wilted orchids. Amara looked back one more time. Grace still sat in the chair, the white handkerchief clutched in her hands. Daniel sat beside her now, talking quietly. "Will they be okay?" Pastor Chukwu asked. "I don't know," Amara said. "That's not my responsibility." Dr. Obi studied her. "You could have destroyed them, made them apologize publicly, demanded restitution." "I could have, but you didn't." Amara touched the gold ring in her pocket, her mother's ring, finally returned. "My father spent 30 years being a coward. He let fear and family expectations steal his happiness, steal my mother's life, steal my childhood." She looked at the two men. "I won't let anger steal mine." Pastor Chukwu smiled. "That's wisdom, child." "That's survival," Amara corrected. "Forgiveness isn't for them, it's for me." They walked into the Lagos night. The hotel lights glittered behind them. Camera crews still camped outside. Journalists shouted questions. Amara ignored them. She climbed into Pastor Chukwu's modest car. As they pulled away, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Thank you for the handkerchief. I'll wash it and return it." Grace Amara stared at the message, then typed back. "Keep it. It's clean now. Stay clean too." She put the phone away. Outside the window, Lagos rolled past. Glittering towers and rusty roofs, luxury and poverty side by side. The city that had judged her, mocked her, watched her fall, and now watched her rise. Dr. Obi turned from the front seat. "The media will want interviews. Your story will be everywhere." "I know. What will you say?" Amara touched the gold ring again, thought about her mother, about Chief Emeka, about the white handkerchief she'd given away. That forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. That mercy doesn't mean returning to abuse. That I can let go of hate without letting them back inches. Pastor Chukwu glanced at her in the rearview mirror. And the money? It was never about the money. Amara looked out at the city. It was about being seen, being claimed, being told I mattered. She smiled, small, quiet, real. And now I know I do. The car turned toward Ajagunle, toward her mother's apartment, toward the life that had been hers before billions and ballrooms and gold rings. But she was different now, not because of wealth, but because she'd stood in front of people who hated her and refused to become them. That was a richness no inheritance could buy. The price back at the Grand Hotel. Grace and Daniel sat in an empty ballroom. Staff stacked chairs around them. The stage lights dimmed. "What do we do now?" Grace whispered. Daniel stared at his hands. "We start over. Smaller. Quieter. Without Mom? Mom will be in prison for a decade, maybe more. 2 billion naira doesn't disappear quietly." Grace unfolded the white handkerchief, traced the embroidered edges. "She gave this to me, after everything we did. Maybe she's better than us." "She is." Grace folded the handkerchief carefully. "She definitely is." They sat in silence. Two children of privilege learning, too late, that money couldn't buy character. Across Lagos, in a holding cell, Victoria Okonkwo sat on a metal bench. No gold dress, no gold ring. Just a gray prison uniform and handcuffs. A guard asked if she wanted to make a phone call. She shook her head. Who would she call? Daniel? Grace? Peter? What would she say? She'd spent 30 years building an empire and destroyed it in 30 minutes. All because she'd tried to bury a truth that refused to stay dead. The guard left. Victoria sat alone, and for the first time in 3 decades, she cried. Not for what she'd lost, but for what she'd never really had. The trial. Victoria Okonkwo's trial lasted 3 days. The evidence was crushing. 2.3 billion naira, 47 wire transfers, shell companies in 3 countries. The judge sentenced her to 8 years in Kirikiri maximum security prison. Full restitution to defrauded charities. Victoria stood when the verdict was read. She didn't cry, didn't protest, just nodded and let the guards lead her away. Grace and Daniel attended. Peter didn't. Outside the courthouse, Grace turned to her brother. "Should we have done something?" "Like what? She stole 2 billion naira." "But she's still our mother." Daniel was quiet. Then, being family doesn't mean protecting someone from consequences. Maybe the most loving thing is letting her face them. Grace had deleted her Instagram 3 weeks earlier. 2 million followers gone. She said it felt like waking up. The Foundation Amara stood in front of a renovated building in Yaba. The sign read, Adeze Okeke Education Foundation. Inside, 50 young women studied. Housemaids, nannies, cooks' daughters, all on scholarship. Pastor Chukwu stood beside her. Your mother would be proud. She always said education was the only inheritance that couldn't be stolen. The foundation offered tuition, legal aid, health care, job placement, a hotline for abuse reporting, funded with 5% of the estate, 500 million naira annually. Amara sold the Okonkwo mansion for 800 million, donated it to 3 hospitals. General Hospital Lagos received the largest share. She bought a modest 3-bedroom home, a garden for her mother, a study for Chidi. She drove a used Toyota, wore simple clothes, kept her old phone. The press called her the humble heiress. She ignored them. The distance Grace requested a meeting 2 months later. Same cafe, no makeup, jeans, simple ponytail. She pulled out the white handkerchief. Washed, pressed, folded. I wanted to return this. Amara shook her head. I told you to keep it. But it's yours, your grandmother's. Grace's voice cracked. I don't deserve it. You filmed me being humiliated, called me a thief, tried to destroy me." Amara's tone was calm. "But you were 24 and following your mother. You didn't know the truth. I should have asked questions. You should have. You didn't. Now you're learning." Amara pushed the handkerchief back. "Keep it as a reminder, not of what I gave you, of what you want to become." "Can we be friends, eventually?" Amara was quiet. "Maybe, but not now. You need to figure out who you are without your family's money, without followers. Without me forgiving you to make you feel better. That's fair. And I need space. What your family did hurt me. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting, doesn't mean I owe you my friendship." Grace nodded. She stood, paused. "You're the strongest person I've ever met." Amara didn't respond. Grace left. Pastor Chukwu came over from a nearby table. That was hard, but necessary. The visit 3 months after the trial, Amara visited Kirakiri prison. Gray hallways, disinfectant smell, despair. Victoria sat in the visiting room. Prison uniform, no jewelry, hair in a simple bun. She looked smaller. "I didn't think you'd come." "Neither did I." Amara sat. "But I needed to say something." Victoria waited. "I forgive you, not because you deserve it." "Because I deserve peace." Victoria's hands trembled. "Why tell me?" "Because forgiveness isn't pretending. It's choosing not to let it control me." "I don't understand you." "I know." Amara leaned forward. "You spent 30 years fighting for a table that never wanted you. You hurt people, your own children, to keep a status you thought defined you." Victoria looked down. "And now I have nothing. You have a chance to become different, better." Amara stood. "I won't visit again, won't fund appeals. But I won't stop your children from loving you. That's between you and them." Victoria looked up, eyes wet. "The ring? You kept it?" "Yes." "Good. It should have been hers, always." Amara walked to the door. "Miss Okeke?" She turned. Victoria's face was stripped bare. "Thank you." "For not becoming me." Amara nodded once, then left. Outside, Lagos' sun blazed. Traffic roared. Life continued. Amara touched the gold ring on her finger, her mother's ring. Finally where it belonged. She thought about Chief Emeka's cowardice, Victoria's bitterness, Grace and Daniel rebuilding, and she remembered her mother's words when other children mocked her patched uniform. "Character isn't what you have. It's what you do when you have nothing left to prove." Amara walked toward the gate, toward the city, toward a life on her own terms. Not revenge, not bitterness, just the quiet strength of knowing she'd been tested and refused to break. 1 year later. Amara stood at the podium in the Adaeze Okeke Foundation Auditorium. 100 guests filled seats. Not Lagos elite, domestic workers, their families, scholarship students. Behind her, a banner. 50 lives changed, 500 more to come. She wore a simple blue dress. The gold ring caught afternoon light. The white handkerchief, returned by Grace 6 months ago, sat folded in her pocket. "A year ago, I scrubbed floors in this city," Amara said. "I was invisible, judged by my uniform instead of my character." The audience leaned forward. Today, 50 young women are in university. 20 domestic workers have legal representation. 15 families received emergency medical care. 3 abusive employers face prosecution. Applause. This isn't charity, it's justice. My father couldn't choose love openly, but his final act was choosing truth. That truth set us all free. She stepped down. Pastor Chukwu embraced her. Her mother smiled from the front row. In the back, Grace sat quietly. 4 months volunteering, No cameras, just work. After the ceremony, Grace approached. I enrolled in nursing school, part-time. Maybe I can finish what you started. Amara smiled. That's really good, Grace. We're not friends yet, but maybe we're getting there. Maybe we are. Where they are now. Daniel moved to Abuja, started a small ethical investment firm, visited Victoria monthly. Peter finished rehab, 6 months clean, working as a mechanic in Ibadan. He sent Amara a 3-word letter. Thank you, sorry. Victoria taught literacy in prison. Wrote apologies to her children. Parole eligible in 2 years. Grace studied nursing. Volunteered at the foundation. No Instagram, no followers, just growth. Amara completed her nursing degree. Worked 3 days at General Hospital. Ran the foundation the rest. Same Toyota, same modest house. She declined book deals and Netflix documentaries. My story isn't entertainment, she told Pastor Chukwu. It's a reminder that systems can change, that invisible people matter. The memorial on Chief Emeka's death anniversary, Amara visited his grave. Simple headstone, white orchids. She knelt, touched the stone. Thank you, Baba, for finally choosing love. She stood. Lagos sky stretched endless above her. She thought about the girl who'd scrubbed floors a year ago, who'd been humiliated. Thrown into the street. That girl was still inside her. But now she wore a crown no one could take. Not gold, not wealth, just the quiet knowledge that she'd faced cruelty and refused to become it. Your turn. This is one of those African stories that reminds us truth is louder than lies. Among all the real-life stories of injustice and resilience, this life story asks, what would you do when the world judges you for what you lack instead of who you are? These touching stories, stories of maids, drivers, guards, the invisible people keeping our cities running, they matter. Every person has dignity. Every truth demands to be told. Have you witnessed someone judged unfairly because of their job or status? Share your story in the comments below. Your voice deserves to be heard. Subscribe for more cinematic African folktales every week. Real stories, real transformation. Next time, a beggar interrupts a wedding with a secret that stops the ceremony cold. The bride's reaction will leave you speechless. Hit subscribe, share this, and remember, your character isn't what you inherit, it's what you choose to become.